But despite Trump and Musk's blow-up, this ruling tonight makes clear that we are still living with the consequences of Musk's time in the administration, and we could be for some time, which is why we need to keep focusing on it and talking about it. I mean, remember, Elon Musk is a man with a vendetta, even more so now. A man in open warfare with the President of the United States. And now his DOJ staff has obtained access to the most sensitive personal data of millions of Americans. I mean, when that 24-year-old former SpaceX intern is combing through this sensitive data, which he maybe now, maybe next week, who does he think he's working for? The federal government or his old boss, Elon Musk? I honestly don't know the answer to that question. And that is a very frightening place to be. Here's another question. What protections do we have that this data is not going to wind up being fed into Elon Musk's AI program? I mean, that's a real concern that one former government official testified about in this case, saying, quote, if Social Security data has been integrated into an AI tool owned by Elon Musk, this would create an unfair advantage and also pose significant privacy and security risks for the American public. You think? Very much it will. The truth is that Elon Musk and his companies were already significantly enmeshed in the federal government before Trump took over. Now Trump has given Musk and his minions extraordinary new access to even broader swaths of the government. And as their feud escalates, Musk may have fewer and fewer reasons to tread carefully at all. The New Yorker's Ronan Farrow has been covering the problematic relationship, that's one way of putting it, between Musk's business empire and our federal government for years. I mean, back in 2023, long before Musk had even endorsed Trump, Ronan Farrow published a detailed report on this very topic. And he's been pushing the public to view Musk's rise through that exact lens ever since.
In my view, the real story here isn't just about Musk. It's about a model of power that's facilitated his rise, and how public institutions are increasingly being replaced by private individuals operating without accountability. It's about why we've built a system where someone like him effectively substitutes for the state, without the checks that generally come with public power.
Joining me now is Ronan Farrow. He's an investigative reporter for The New Yorker. He's reported extensively on Elon Musk's rise to power. He's also reported extensively about how data can be weaponized against American citizens. Ronan, I reread your 2023 piece this morning, and there is so much in there that it includes warning signs. It includes really a better understanding that I think is important for almost anybody trying to digest this moment. I want to talk to you all about that. But I also wanted to start by asking you about this Supreme Court ruling that happened just this afternoon. It's going to allow DOJ unfettered access to data at the Social Security Administration. As I mentioned, you've also done a lot of reporting on the weaponization of data. Where does your mind go first on what that means?
Well, you make exactly the right point. Data can be weaponized. There is a reason why privacy law exists, why this is a really important body of cases that the Supreme Court has ruled on over the years, and why we've seen internationally when you aggregate data and you put it into hands with little oversight, it can and very often will be abused. I mean, I've reported on that in many places around the world. But just to take an example of a current superpower, we've seen how China has centralized data in an unrestricted way and used that to create a surveillance apparatus that really has been used to target ethnic minorities. You can take this kind of personal data, which includes health details, mental health details, financial details, and you can use it to target people, to come after people, to categorize people and take action against them, deny them rights. So this is serious stuff, and that's why you see the minority in the court today really sounding alarm about this. You know, Justice Jackson saying the court has lost its way. This is something that privacy proponents are going to be talking about for a very long time. Then you come to the hands we're putting it in. DOJ. This is an unproven ad hoc organization. There are still unanswered questions about its legal status. There's not a lot by way of congressional oversight or restrictions. There are a lot of questions about its staff. A lot of the DOJ staff is hired under the same status Elon Musk was hired under, as special government employees, basically meaning they could fast-track the hiring of really young, really inexperienced people. This opens up a whole lot of risks and vulnerabilities, which we can get into.
No question about it. We just talked about some of that. I mean, and one of the goals of DOJ has always been to scoop up data. I mean, they haven't made any secret of that. I spoke with someone recently who used to work in the IRS who said someone from Doge told her in a meeting that data is the mission, that getting data is the mission. I mean, you're an excellent investigative reporter. You've mentioned some of the things that you want more information on, but what are you going to be watching, or what are some of the questions that you think people should be asking about this access and what they could be doing with it?
The point you made, that data is the mission, is a really important one for all of us to sit with, just as citizens concerned about all of our safety and freedom. Silicon Valley has showed us that time and time again, they are on a mission to aggregate data about human beings in order to manipulate and monetize human behavior. We are coming to a reckoning about how social media platforms did that. We are still to come to a reckoning about how AI companies will do that. Elon Musk and his stake and role in Doge connects directly to Elon Musk's stake and role in Grok through his company xAI. There is evidence. We don't have a lot of transparency on this. We don't have all the answers, but there is evidence that he is feeding a lot of this sensitive data into his own AI products, using them to train his own AI products. We don't know how much of that data may be exiting with him, may show up in his systems in years to come, which are systems that accord to his private interests, which are very different from the interests of the American people.
No question about it. And all those questions about where that data could be and go with some of these Doge officials still in the government is a huge, huge, huge one. You did. I mentioned I reread this extensive profile. Everybody on our team reread it today. It's basically about how entangled Musk had become at that point in time with the national security apparatus of the United States. In some ways, how powerful he had become. I mean, obviously, that entanglement has only grown deeper in many, many ways. I mean, and yesterday, Musk threatened to decommission the spacecraft that brought back 2 stranded astronauts. Unclear where that sits at this point, but that was a threat. Knowing and following and investigating and reporting on him as much as you have, if he really wanted to make things painful for Trump and really, more importantly, for the American people, given all of his companies and entanglements, what else could he do?
There is a bigger picture here, which is part of what I was writing about, of waning government power and of rising private power. There are a lot of economic and political factors that have led up to this point. But we are in a state now where there are key services that once would have been a guarantee from the state that are in the hands of private, unaccountable billionaires and private unaccountable companies that they run. You mentioned the threat to decommission the Dragon craft. That is the only way we have to ferry astronauts from the International Space Station back to Earth. There is literally a possibility that if he were to actually do that, and it does seem like someone tweeted at him and said, maybe not, and he said, okay, fine, I won't. But this is the threshold for decision-making about something that could literally leave human beings stranded and facing death. And we haven't built in redundancy. And what government officials were telling me even a couple of years ago was, hey, we're alarmed because there is an erratic person who has his own complicated international alliances and business interests who is controlling key functionality that the American people depend on. And that's not isolated to Elon Musk. We are seeing that across the board. We are seeing companies like Palantir, run by another billionaire Musk donor, Peter Thiel, play a role in aggregating and centralizing data across the U.S. government, again, being given unprecedented access and power to tools that really can be used to target and harm people.
Ronan Farrow, I hope you will come back and talk with me about Palantir and Peter Thiel and all of that, because data and their access to data and all of these billionaires is such an important story to follow right now. And few people know it as well as you. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it.
It's pivotal. Thanks for talking about it, Jen.